Hey everyone, today I want to talk to you about changing your accounting period if you're a nonprofit organization. In other words, let's say, for instance, in the example I'm going to talk about today, it's an organization that has a January through December accounting year, and they want to change it to July through June 30th. Okay, July 1st through June 30th. In this example, our school PTO was formed in September 2024. And after 2024, it filed its 990N. It was eligible to file the electronic postcard. And then the directors got together and they said, it would be better if our accounting year matched the school year. So they decided to change it to June 30th. And they want that change to take effect as of June 30, 2025. Now, this particular organization I've made it eligible to submit the 990N for purposes of illustrating something, but that's not crucial to the example. Okay. Now, how are we going to do this change? Well, the organization is going to have to file a Form 990EZ, even if it continues to qualify for a Form 990N, because the IRS says that please note that an organization may not change its accounting period by filing a Form 990N for the short tax period. The organization must either file a 990EZ or a Form 990 or use Form 1128. Trust me, you do not want to use Form 1128 to request an accounting change. A lot of work. All right, so it's going to have to file a short period return, which is going to cover the period January 1st, 2025 to June 30th, 2025. And you want to make sure that the organization has submitted its filing for 2024 before it changes its accounting period. We'll talk more about that momentarily. Now, there's a revenue procedure, IRS revenue procedure 8558, that allows a change in accounting period every 10 years for a nonprofit without requesting permission on Form 1128. And you can actually go and read the revenue procedure if you like, and I will leave a link to that in the description of the video. I'll point out that in the Form 990EZ or the Form 990 or the 990PF, there is nowhere to indicate on the tax return that it is for a short year. Okay, what you would do is when you actually file the return is up here where you have the dates that cover that the return covers. You would put January 1, 2025 through June 30, 2025. At least that's what they would do. In this case, your year beginning and end may be different. Okay. And then the software will allow you to indicate that it's for a change in accounting period. There should be a box to check somewhere in there, some type of selection that you're changing your accounting period, and it's covered by Revenue Procedure 8558. Okay, that's important. Problems that you're going to encounter. So the short year return is due 4.5 months after the end of the short year. So in this case, for a June 30 short year, it's due November 15, 2025. And the returns must be filed electronically. Problem is that by November 15th, 2025, your 2025 tax return software is not yet going to be available. Okay, it won't be available till at the very earliest, sometime in January 2026 or later. Okay, so this is an issue. Now, for those who don't know, the beginning of the tax year controls the form that you use to file the return. So a tax year that begins in 2025 must be filed on a 2025 software, on 2025 forms, okay, even if it's just for part of the year. So what's the solution here? The solution is you need to file a request for an extension of time to file, okay, and you're going to do that on Form 8868. I'll leave a link to that. to request a 6-month extension. Okay, you get one 6-month extension of the filing deadline. So for a June year end that's due November 15th, this will extend your deadline until May 15th of the following year. So in this case, 2026. And the software for 2025 or whatever year you're using will be available well before that May 15th deadline. Okay. Now, the 8868 is going to have to be filed on paper, okay, because the 2025 software isn't available yet, and the software is not going to let you file a 2025 extension on 2024 software. So you're going to file it on paper, and that's okay, even though the 990 EZ, 990 series returns must be filed electronically. The IRS still allows you, as of this date, November 2025, still allows you to file a paper Form 8868 extension request. Let's look at the 8868 quickly. Okay, I'll leave a link to it in the description, and you're just going to fill in the organization's name and address to match what the IRS has on file. You're going to indicate here there's a return code. Okay, so you tell it what type of return you're extending. In this case, it's a 990 EZ or a 990, so return code is 01. You enter it in this box here. This is not applicable, this section for filing form 5330. You leave that blank. Part 2 is where you're going to enter the person's name and phone number who keeps the organization's books. Okay, could be a person, could be a business. Then down here, the important part, I request an automatic 6-month extension of time until, in this case, May 15, 2026. This extension is for the organization's return for either the calendar year, which in this case, no, because this is a short year. So you're going to indicate this box, tax year beginning January 1st, 2025 and ending June 30, 2025. So that tells the IRS that this is for less than 12 months. And so item 2, line 2 says, if the tax year entered in line 1 is for less than 12 months, tell us why. You're going to click change in accounting period. Okay, and then you're going to put zeros in these boxes, and the page 2 is not applicable. Okay. Now, important tips to take away from this. All right. Sometimes the IRS will fail to process and post your paper extension. So that's why it's really important to mail it certified mail with return receipt. I have a video on how to do all that and make it bulletproof. Okay. I'll put a link to that as well. Yes, it's a 10-year-old video. It's not the best video quality, but it's the real thing. Still works. So long as you can prove that you mailed it on or before the deadline, you're good. Now, again, before you change your accounting period to a new fiscal year end, make sure that you have filed and the IRS has accepted all the prior year returns. Okay, because all those prior year returns are filed on the calendar year, okay, or whatever your year was. And once the IRS switches its database over and shows you as a June 30 fiscal year filer, it's no longer going to accept electronically filed returns from your calendar year previous years. Okay, so you can't go back and like file a 23 or 24 return on the calendar year once you've changed your fiscal year to June. It'll reject it. You'll have to file paper returns. The IRS will reject those. You'll have to get the taxpayer advocate involved and go round and round to force the IRS to accept the paper returns. Ask me how I know. Now, once you file the extension, the IRS may change your fiscal year in their system just based on the extension request. Okay, they're not supposed to do that, but they do sometimes. Okay, I've had it happen. So just be aware of that. It shouldn't be a problem. As long as you have the prior year returns filed before you file that extension, you should be just fine. How do you know if they've changed your fiscal year just based on the extension? Well, you can check the exempt organization's business master file, wait about a month or so after you file the extension, and you can check that. I'll put a link to a video that I did on how to look up your organization's master file entry. Okay. And again, this is not a problem. It's actually probably a good thing if they do that, rather than waiting until you file the return to change the fiscal year end. So I think that's pretty much it. I hope that's helpful. Good luck.